fucked up, dude. You fucked up.
You fucked up, man. This is our review.
You were talking. You went to go talk.
This is our review of Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Well, going into this movie, I was pretty excited for it, which is strange because I don't remotely like most of the non-Avengers Marvel movies. But this one, I don't know, had like a hype behind it and an aura around it. I didn't see Thor: The Dark World, Thor 2, so whatever. But this was like, to me, the first good, meaningful post-Avengers movie. Because Iron Man 3 was like, oh yeah, I was in New York. I'm having PTSD for half an hour, and then that's fine. That's over with. Where this movie was like all about, like, after the Avengers, what Shield did, like what Shield's doing to protect Earth now.
They didn't really bring up New York that much in Captain America, this one.
Right, yeah, they didn't talk about New York necessarily, but you could tell it was in a post-Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, granted, I guess I'm a little biased because I like Captain America. Captain America 1 was my favorite standalone movie before Avengers of those.
Well, I agree. Because fuck Thor, that's why.
And I was really excited for it. Yeah. Well, what about Iron
Man? Iron Man 1
I think Iron Man 1 was good.
Yeah. And then that whole thing started.
Iron Man 2 was alright, and Iron Man 3 just...
What about the Incredible Hulk, guys? Everybody forgets about the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, because it's not Mark Ruffalo.
I'm not really big into the Incredible Hulk.
At the same time, I was really excited for this movie. Really, really excited. And when you had seen it and you were like, oh my goodness, you need to see this movie, then I got even more excited for it. But I'm not going to say that the story was predictable, but it is kind of what I thought the story would end up being once I saw a couple of trailers.
Are we doing
because when they put... Huh?
Are we doing a spoiler alert here, or are we just going to go for it?
She put on
spoiler alert. This movie has spoiler. This review has spoilers in it. Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Black Widow's hot.
But when they put Robert Redford in that movie, I had a feeling that there was going to be some,
shenanigans.
Yeah, some ending like that.
Well,
but I was glad.
Why else would you put Robert Redford in a secondary role?
Exactly. And I didn't think he would carry on as a main character in the rest of the Avengers movies. So I was glad that they kept with the Hydra aspect and they didn't just shy away from that, because I was a little worried about that they were going to do that. They made a decent enough thing with it in the first Avengers, or in the first Captain America movie, as far as making him out to be a villain as opposed to just Nazis, which there still was, which was cool too, because I was a little afraid that they would shy away from that.
Well, I feel like they did shy away from Nazis, but they just made the Hydras as Nazi as possible without them being Nazis, which is fine. Yeah. I mean, this is the safe way to do it.
Well, that's because it's different. I mean, the Hydra was different than the Nazis, even in the first Captain America movie, and that was the good part about it. They separate them, which is fine. It's not as just something with such a bad negative connotation throughout history as being Nazi. But as they can, with Hydra, they have a little bit more
freedom to do
freedom. Yeah, freedom to do what
stuff.
they want. Yeah, not Nazi type stuff without calling it Nazis, and at the same time,
right? Yeah.
At the same time, not freak people out as much, I guess you could say. Because if they're like, oh, the Nazis are going to take over again, that's a bit of a... It's almost kind of...
It's just Marvel's version of Nazis, which, I mean, it's cool.
Pretty much. But I really liked the fact that they did that. I really liked the action sequences. The action sequences were really well done. They didn't pull a lot of punches like I thought they did in the Iron Man movies, or they started to do in the Iron Man movies. And like I said, but like
any of those lead-up movies were very PG, not even PG-13.
Yeah,
they were very
like they weren't fighting people.
Right.
They were fighting things.
Right. Yeah, like Iron Man only really tore into something when they were fighting those like androids in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, and those people. So I'm glad that they didn't hold back when they were actually fighting other people.
What
I enjoyed that Captain America Winter Soldier was actually more it was more violent than any other Marvel movie that you actually watched lately.
Yeah,
had
like,
there
violent
blood. Part of it.
I mean, there wasn't blood splatter, but there was definitely like if someone got shot, there was blood on their clothes, which was nice for a change.
Yeah, they didn't hold back from
they kind of went towards like the PG-13 and a little bit more, but not into like the R-rated stuff.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that there was a meaningful story in it too. Like they used Hydra and everything, but it was almost like a political. It had its political undertones as far as things like the Patriot Act and how much information the NSA has, because that's what they use all that information for Zola's algorithm. So at the same time, I liked that aspect. Obviously the giant floating aircraft carriers are not something that's as plausible as the sheer fact that the government can gather all this information.
Or a boomerang shield.
But at the same time, I thought they did a really good job of making almost like a feasible story, and that idea that Hydra was in waiting for decades and decades and decades. I thought that was a pretty neat idea.
And it had those sleeper cells.
Yeah, everything was really realistic. and
as opposed to Hydra just disappearing. Like, they're all done. Because even Red Skull is still unaccounted for.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see that they actually brought Zola on to help them with S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. But at the same time, he was just, planning Hydra's takeover.
Which I thought was interesting, too, because, I mean, America did the same thing. When the Third Reich was broken, they hired all the German scientists for the spacecraft missions in NASA, which is cool. So the S.H.I.E.L.D. did the same thing with Hydra.
Right.
How about the new Captain America uniform, or the one that you saw for an hour?
I think I like the old uniform better.
Well,
I like the old uniform.
Like the Avengers uniform?
Yeah, I like the Avengers uniform the best, I think.
Why? It has like a hoodie. It was weird.
I still liked it. I thought it was the best and most appropriate of all of them.
Well, yeah, it's fine that he's spangly, but I just like when he didn't have his helmet on, there was like a weird cloth hood just hanging there. I don't know.
It did look like a hoodie.
I
will agree with that.
Looking to me, it wasn't like a fine line. I don't know. I'm weird about that kind of stuff. Like he had a helmet on in this movie. When he didn't have the helmet on, he had the pop collar.
Well, like in the comics, there's no helmet. They don't use a helmet. It's just part of his suit. It's like a cowl.
Right. I mean, I understand that. That's fine.
So I thought that was the best suit in my opinion, but I'm fine with it being a stealth suit. The part that made me happier was that they didn't. That's fine, have more than one suit, and it looks different. But I was just happy that they didn't just completely ignore the traditional Captain America suit. Like he put on his World War II uniform.
Well, yeah, that was just awesome. That was just good fan service, right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that his suit had like his name on like the shoulder pad, and he had like the stealth shield that was like blue and like silver, and he was like smacking it around all over the place. It was pretty cool. It was his moves got really bumped up from the Avengers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
absolutely.
It definitely gave him more impact to his punches and such. Like he was actually kicking ass.
Yes, I agree 100%. Because they made him so.
He seemed
puny.
weak in the Avengers.
Yeah, because of who he was
weak.
around. But I'm just glad that they did that movie so well.
Right, yeah. Everything
Especially in a
about it was
world
good.
like where Iron Man is, because I don't really like Iron Man. I know everybody else does.
Yeah,
Not
everybody,
here.
everybody,
I know
and
everybody
their
else.
mother loves Iron Man. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but it's like I'm the kind of fan that I call bullshit when I see it. And Captain America, X-Men, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, they have been famous forever since the dawn of comics before movies. Iron Man has never been mainstream famous until Robert Downey Jr. starts winking and grinning and telling shitty jokes. Now all of a sudden, everyone and their mother is Iron Man for Halloween.
I do like Iron Man, but I don't like when people they overdo the characters of what they do in like movies.
Right, and then what adds further insult to injury is that he's on the front cover of the Avengers. He's the main character in the Avengers. He's the hero of the Avengers. He's the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah, the de facto leader.
I mean, obviously this review's not about Iron Man, but yeah, I just like that this was a lot better than Iron Man 3. I'll put it that way.
Well, Iron Man 3 was just an overall letdown.
And how about the Winter Soldier? He was pretty cool. He kind of like showed up once every half an hour, kicked a lot of ass, and then disappeared. That was pretty cool.
I liked how he was like an assassin during. Maybe they didn't really show too much for him.
He'll probably go back. I bet. Like if he ends up getting his own movie or he becomes Captain America, I bet he'll have like flashbacks to his life up until this point or things like that.
I thought his arm was pretty cool. That was really neat.
Yes.
It was weird that he had like the random Scorpion submachine gun like on his back, that little baby gun. That was kind of weird. he pulled it out of his back, shot it for 3 seconds, and then threw it aside. And, what a waste. It was pretty cool when he caught Cap's shield. That was awesome. And he started doing the knife fights.
I was a little surprised. I felt like at the climax of this movie, there were more lives in danger than were in danger in the Avengers.
Right, yeah, because like the Chitauri, whatever, they never showed them killing people. I mean, like there's that one scene, that one building where Captain America jumps in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they were just kind of like just walking around playing Total Rampage and just breaking buildings down. They weren't actually like firing people down and chasing people down. I mean, you're right. It was a complete tone shift from any of the other Marvel movies. It was very James Bondish. Had very real world. Had very like real world consequences.
It was more espionage. Yeah.
It had a deeper emotional and just mortal impact to the characters than in the Avengers. Because the Avengers,
I thought it.
they obviously knew it was going to be a kid thing. I mean, they're marketing it for children.
Yeah. And it's easier to say this because obviously the Avengers is more science fiction-y, but I felt like this story was a little bit more grounded.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I appreciated it a little bit more.
And
I mean, it obviously had the sci-fi elements to it.
the Falcon was handled pretty cool too. I mean, that wasn't campy.
Yeah, they didn't overdo with his character that much. He was.
Yeah, because he was on. Well, I liked it because he wasn't unnecessary. They didn't just throw him in there just 'cause. Like, there was a reason that they would have needed somebody that has nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. Because it was one of the...
He wasn't Hawkeye.
Yeah. I guess that's true, yeah.
I mean, I love that
completely get
character.
rid of Hawkeye.
I love that character, but, like, why is he there? Why?
Yeah. But yeah, okay, so they needed somebody that had nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. Which I thought,
And he had a lot of...
was cool. And they
had...
traced his character, too. They traced his character. He just wasn't... You didn't just see him at the end. You saw him at the VA hospital, and he had his own PSTD stuff.
Well, yeah, I like that he was a comedy relief, but then he also was emotional too. He had the help classes he ran and everything else as well. Because it's so easy to make that sidekick character a complete donkey to the Shrek. This is not. It's kind of played out.
It is good that they also didn't throw too many superheroes in them into the movie sometimes they do sometimes. They just threw people in there.
Yeah, there wasn't too much more lore, I guess you could say, that was added, which was fine with me. I saw Thor, and I thought maybe that there was too much. I mean, I know Thor's movies are all lore because that's kind of what his.
Why did you see Thor?
It was on the airplane.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's right. It was either watch that or the back of my seat.
Yeah, it was either watch the movie and sit uncomfortably for an hour and a half or 2 hours, or not watch the movie and sit uncomfortably for 2 hours.
Okay, all right, that's acceptable.
So yeah, there was more lore in that one, but in this one it didn't add a lot more lore, but at the same time it kind of destroyed more lore than it added anything because it just basically wiped out S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D.
was pretty much
done.
no more at the end of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, they won't have any... I think about it, and there won't be any other movies until Avengers 2 comes out.
Oh, what about Ant-Man?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, and Guardians of the Galaxy. But I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy won't have anything to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. I could be wrong, but...
I'm just gonna edit that one out.
I don't know. It could. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, Guardians of the Galaxy is a whole different place.
No, you're right. What I want to know is why they felt the need, and I know that you said just because they can, but why they felt the need to include Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver out of any of the other possible Marvel characters or Avengers. They just had to add 2 of the X-Men characters just because they happen to be part of the team for a little while, or a long while, or a part of the team in general. When there's so many other characters that have been in the Avengers as well.
Well, who else can they add? You know what I mean?
Black Panther. They could have Black Panther. What do you mean?
I mean, like, all right. So, I don't see how that would.
I mean, I know that obviously Peter Parker is out of the question because of the Fox thing, but then so is X-Men characters, and so I feel like they're only hurting them. I mean, not necessarily hurting themselves because they're doing it and they're owning it. I just feel like they're putting themselves in a corner by adding people and characters that are limited in their lore that is not to the comic book. Like they can't.
Well, I think what they really wanted to do is add people with superpowers. Because there's really, like, when you think about it, okay, you have Hulk.
Hulk and Thor.
Maybe you could say that's a superpower. I don't know. Where
He was more
superpowers.
of like
no
a
mutant.
genetic mutation that was
Yeah,
experimented
basically
on.
a mutant. Yeah, obviously, yes, a mutant. But like, people know aliens exist. Do they know that people can be born with special powers? Yeah, in the Avengers universe. Yeah, that's already been dealt with in the X-Men universe. But I don't know. I guess they're just trying to add.
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. They can't add Spider-Man. They can't add Wolverine, who are two major Avengers characters.
Or Fantastic Four,
They
or
can't, yeah, they can't add Reed Richards.
I don't think they can add the Punisher. I'm not really sure about that. I don't think they would, but
Yeah, not that they would, but you're right.
or Ghost Rider, or
I know
it's a big list.
I know they're doing Doctor Strange, and I heard that Moon Knight was mentioned in one of the name drops during one of the scenes. But yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks that Marvel didn't like do this 10 years ago or 15 years ago, but when they were just selling all their properties off.
Right.
And it sucks that Disney can't just work a deal out with Fox or Sony to just use a different Peter Parker or a different Spider-Man or Wolverine for their movies. I mean, Disney has the money. They got the Avengers and Frozen. Come on.
True.
They're a corporation and they don't want to spend their money.
Do you feel that Black Widow is a little overdone or overused,
Compared to who else could have been used?
over idolized, compared to who else could have been used? For example, Hawkeye, who got the short end of the stick in the Avengers movie. Because if you think about it, Black Widow stuck the fucking staff into the Tesseract machine thing. For God's sakes.
They should have done more Hawkeye and Captain America.
And she was in Iron Man 2 for a long time. And then she had a huge role in this as well.
I guess I'm fine with it. I don't know. They always want to add that female aspect of things.
Whatever. I mean, I know, but it's like.
But she wasn't bad in it. Like, I mean, there wasn't.
I know. Well, that's why I feel bad saying, because she's not a bad actress or bad in it. Her character is beyond cool. I don't know if they're just oversaturating her character.
I thought they did okay. I didn't think.
Because now they're talking about giving her own movie. I don't know.
I believe it. They keep talking about her past.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say. Out of all the Avengers that do not have their own movie, she might as well have her own movie. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Well, maybe if she gets her own movie, maybe Hawkeye will be in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe I just like Hawkeye too much, but what the hell?
I do like Hawkeye. He's one of my favorite.
Well,
Marvel
let me put it this way: he wasn't in this movie, so I think the future's bleak.
Well, I mean, Jeremy Renner was flat out pissed off about his role in the Avengers. Quote, we just didn't have much for him to do, so we just made him get brainwashed in the first 5 minutes.
He was brainwashed for half the movie.
This is ridiculous.
I would be pissed too, honestly.
I mean, yeah, he fucking kicked ass at the end, but for like a whole hour and 10 minutes, he was useless.
And like I said, he's not in this movie, so.
And it's not like he's not a actor with things to do. I mean, he's Jeremy Renner. He has other stuff that American Hustle, for God's sakes.
Yeah. But it was a damn fine movie. I was really excited for it, but at the same time, I was pleasantly surprised.
Right.
Because I didn't just think
knew
it
I
was a
would
good
like
Marvel movie. I still thought it was like a good movie.
Right. Well, that's the way that those Marvel movies for me, I always had like a stigma around them as, yeah, I know the Avengers is coming, so I'm going to watch this hour and a half to 2 hour bore fest
Right.
to get to the Avengers. Whereas now they're putting equal to more time into these post Avengers movies. So I mean, I feel like it's less a chore and more of a pleasure. And the directors of this movie are directing the third one as well.
Yes, which is very good.
And that third movie comes out the same day as Batman vs Superman.
What's the making movie of Batman versus Superman? I don't even know.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
I don't know. I'm not.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did actually ask a serious question. I won't lie.
Yeah, dude. The sequel to Man of Steel has Batman in it, and Ben Affleck plays Batman.
Don't listen to him. He's fucking with you.
It sounds goofy, but it's not. Randy, do you believe me or not?
I don't know what to believe, dude.
And it has Wonder Woman in it, and she's a Kryptonian.
Uh-huh.
Does that sound good to you?
I guess not.
That's what I thought. After watching The Winter Soldier, are you excited for Batfleck?
No.
All right. Out of the mouth of Randy's. So my score for this movie will definitely be a 5 out of 5. It was everything I expected, and obviously a lot more. And
I agree.
And Captain America broke someone's arm in an MMA fight at the end. So there you go.
I agree. 5 out of 5 for me as well.
5 out of 5. I do like how he did break the arm. I felt like just like from the Man of Steel movie, like how when Superman broke that guy's neck.
Captain America didn't kill anybody, dude.
I know. It just felt like the violence of it.
I know what you're saying.
The violence.
It's not. Well, it's not just the violence. It's more like what breaking Winter Soldier's arm represents, and that's the fact that they didn't pull punches. Like, they weren't afraid to do things in a movie. Obviously, they didn't go as far as they could have, and they probably shouldn't have because it's still a comic book movie. But at the same time, they didn't just like nothing happened.
He didn't just punch him and he was knocked out. He
That's what I'm saying.
His
like,
good arm. He had one arm and he broke it.
I know that everybody is against violence in movies, but at the same time, I mean, it's not like it's a thing that doesn't exist. And if you don't show it in some believable way, then
it takes away the danger.
Me as a moviegoer, if you don't show it in some believable way, then I feel like there's no threat.
And there's no threat.
There is no
unravels the imagination.
There is no danger in this movie. It's just kind of, I already know what's going to happen. Like, there's no,
no one will die. Everyone is fine. Yeah,
exactly. Which, with the Nick Fury thing, I guess we didn't really talk about that. But
I honestly thought they killed him off. Actually, that did surprise me a little bit.
I thought they did too, only because Sam Jackson's old and doesn't feel like doing it anymore. That's why I instantly thought. I also instantly thought it was Hollywood's best kept secret, because that shit always gets spoiled.
They did get me there with that. I really did thought they killed him off. I really was like, no way they actually killed him.
I think it would have been a better movie if they killed him, because it would have just made that character of the Winter Soldier so much better, so much more badass than what he already was.
So much more of an enemy, yeah.
Right. I mean, clearly Sam Jackson's still badass. I mean, it's cool to have him back.
That chase scene, oh my goodness.
With the car.
There was some real deaths going on in that movie. There's some real...
I know. That was damn fine entertainment right there.
I know. I do want Nick Fury's car. I think can take a beating.
or two. I wish I had Nick Fury's car.
Well, a freaking mini cutout with center console.
So what do you give it, Randy?
I give it a solid 5.
So, folks, go and see Captain America: Winter Soldier. It'll do your heart some good to know that they still make a good Marvel movie.
Don't let Iron Man talk you down.
Although a lot of people, they probably are like, well, Iron Man doesn't talk us down. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love Iron Man 3. It was great when he just straight up killed a guy with an electric glove and a pistol. That was great.
If we get people actually watch a video, they're going to be all over the Iron Man thing, like, yo, you guys suck.
Well, Iron Man 2 was so good. They showed him drunk in a suit. Oh my god.
Dude, fuck Captain America getting shot and Sam Jackson almost dying.
He got shot like 4 times and right through the chest.
Straight up melted a guy's face like in an electric chair with that glove, and he shot him right in the fucking mouth.
And there wasn't really a villain. It was so dumb. He left him. He literally stood someone up on a date, and that was the villain.
A mandate. And Pepper Potts was the hero, and Tony Stark could not get a single suit to work, and he had like 50 of them.
Yeah, you would think that after years and years and so many different models,
one would
you'd
work.
have a couple of things perfected by now.
After 3 movies. I mean, he made one out of duct tape and bubble gum in the first movie, and it worked fine.
So true.
It is. I just think Iron Man 1 was the best one of them all. It really was.
You'll never see your suit working.
Oh, I can't believe they did that to him.
I'm actually pissed at the Mandarin. The
Mandarin.
The Mandarin was a hoax of all things. It really did. That did piss me off.
Well, now apparently in the DVD of Floor 2, there's like another after the credit scene where there's like a real Mandarin or some shit's going on. I don't know. Maybe if Marvel was like, wait a minute, we kind of fucked up letting the director of Lethal Weapon handle this.
I don't see what that has to do with anything. But anyway, taking shots at movies.
I'm just saying, Marvel will give their movies to any director. I mean, luckily with Captain America, they were like, these 2 guys were in Arrested Development, working on that. They'll make a great action movie, and luckily they actually did. Whereas this guy directed Lethal Weapon. Oh, he'll make a great action movie. Nah, dude. Nah. And remember when like Tony Stark's house was like under attack, and he didn't use his whole army of suits, but then used them at the end of the movie? Oh, dude, and remember when like Iron Man 3 sucked?
Remember that half an hour, 45-minute scene with the kid?
I actually forgot about that.
Yeah. That freaking...
His suit was broken down and he was in the middle of the United States just kind of like,
Remember?
What am I doing
remember
here?
when he gave that kid a weapons grade like flashbang grenade
Huh?
to use on another kid? Yeah, if Johnny keeps fucking with you, just pull this trigger. just pull this pin and throw it. You'll be fine.
Oh, weapons grade flashback.
Remember how Iron Man 3 had nothing to do with the Avengers? And he had fake PTSD. Oh, remember how in Iron Man 3 they like remember how like he's like no longer Iron Man? That's probably the best part of Iron Man 3.
You are hating on that movie so hard right now.
Yeah, because at least Captain America pulled away the shield aspect of the Avengers. Now Captain America is basically an agent for Shield.
Right. Oh, remember that end of the credit scene where it didn't have anything to do with anything?
What, shawarma?
No, when he was talking to Lou Ferrigno. I mean Mark Ruffalo.
Oh yeah.
Remember how like I waited for 5 minutes to do all these credits for nothing? Remember that?
Good stuff.
I get the point that you don't like Iron Man, Keegan.
Remember when we went and saw Thor and it sucked? Remember when he actually only uses hammer like one time in the first 5 minutes?
Well, maybe if you go see Thor 2, Keegan, then you might use more of his hammer.
Remember when Loki was the villain for 3 Marvel movies, including their biggest movie ever, The Avengers?